Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. What is it, 5:51 Costa Rica time, 7:51 New York time, 4:51 San Francisco time, and I don't know what time it is in Australia or Saskatoon. Saskatoon, I think you have the 1 hour ahead of me, right? So who do we have on? Australia, Saskatoon. Let's see, how's the weather? The weather here is hot. It's not muggy. Let me see if I can find the weather down here. Okay, so here we are. There is my location. You can see 25 degrees. It was a high of 32 today. You can see how the rest of the week plays out. What do we got? A high of 32, low of 20 to 18 every single day. So the weather here was like the weather yesterday, and it'll be like the weather tomorrow. Every day. Beautiful. What do I think of AI in investing? Sure, why not? If it can see patterns in data that you might not see, sure. I'd be cautious about blindly accepting whatever result it had. If it says, "Oh, we found this," you kind of try to find a theory for it. It might be nothing more than just spurious relationships. How do you get your foot in the door with banks and investment banks in Canada? Well, social network. Who you know and who knows you. And I've said it before, it's not just who knows you, but who likes you and who wants to know you. It's if you don't have a social network, you're at a significant disadvantage in an industry built on networking. So you better get into that. I think the sunset might be better from the other end of the house. Let me just turn the camera here. There's a cloud cover at the other end of the house. Let me see if I can show you what the clouds are looking like over there. Yeah, it's starting to look nice over there. Reflecting off the bottom of the clouds, that should get really nice and pink. But we'll switch back to that view every so often. We'll just go back to where we were here. There we go. Thoughts on selling puts on INDA? Well, I'm a big fan of selling puts, especially on underlyings that I would want to own anyways. So as long as you're comfortable owning it, there is no downside, because you'll buy it at a lower price than where it is now. And if it doesn't get down to your strike price, you get to make money for really not holding on to anything. It's when you don't want to hold the underlying and you're just trying to make money by selling puts, then you have a risk of assignment. But if you want the underlying anyways, there is no risk. There's no downside. You win no matter what. So I'm a big fan of selling puts on things that I want to own anyways. Can you give us your thoughts on market efficiency from Ottawa? Efficiency gets confused with correctness. When we say that markets are efficient, it means that information is priced into markets very quickly. That does not mean the interpretation of that information was correct. So if we hear that XYZ happened, stock ABC goes up. There might be some people out there saying, well, XYZ wasn't positive, it was actually negative or neutral. So while the information found its way into prices quickly, the interpretation doesn't necessarily have to be correct. So efficient prices are not the same as correct prices. And I think there's a big misunderstanding that if markets are efficient, prices are correct. On average, they may be correct, but any one stock may be overvalued or undervalued. 10:51 a.m. in Sydney. 10:51 Monday morning, I imagine. Kelowna, 1 hour behind me. Riyadh, look at the geography we've got here. Hello from Halifax. How's it going out there, eh? Just want to say thanks for all the beautiful lessons and wisdom. Well, that's what teachers do. Do you watch Jordan Peterson? Not that much. In the beginning, I liked his message, but now that he's decided that he's going to make a career out of being a conservative commentator, I find sometimes he puts out content for the sake of putting out content, but doesn't really have, much to say in terms of any different message or insight. That I find that he's struggling sometimes to find some relevance. Now, it'd be interesting to see how his relevance holds up with this whole wokeness stuff dying, and dying quickly it is. More and more companies are getting rid of their diversity officers. More and more you're seeing when somebody posts something that says, I'm offended, they're the ones that actually get attacked. That the mob is actually going after the wokesters and saying, enough is enough already. Enough. You've had the driver's seat for a couple of years and you've really messed it up, so enough. That's where he got his notoriety, is pushing back on a government saying, you will use these words. You will adopt this ideology. And he rightfully pushed back on it when a lot of other people just, put their head down and said, well, I'm not messing up my pension here, whatever. You want me to say there's a God? I'll tell you there's a God. You want me to say the sky is pink? I'll tell you the sky is pink. And he just said, no, I'm not going to do that. That was noble, I think. That was academically noble. But now, I don't know. He says things sometimes that don't need to be said. Okay, so Sports Illustrated had a swimsuit model he didn't find attractive. Don't buy it then. Just don't buy it. But why do you have to insult the person on social media? Why do you have to say, sorry, not attractive? Okay, so she's not attractive to you. Be done with it, right? But it just seems to me that didn't need to be said. And had he been just a professor, he probably wouldn't have said anything about it. But because he has the spotlight and he doesn't want to lose the spotlight now, I find him looking for things to say that would appeal to his followers. And that was just a hurtful comment that didn't need to be said. Okay, fine, I don't agree with it either. I don't agree with it. We want to see certain things and we watch certain sports because we want to see the best of the best. We don't want to see average. Imagine if the NFL were just average Joes playing. Who would watch? You want to see the best of the best. And if it's the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated, we want to see the best of the best. So he had a point, but he didn't have to share it, right? That was selfish, I think, in sharing it. Let's see, what else we got here? Cyprus. I'm so nervous about my level 1 results. There's no need to be. Being nervous isn't going to change the outcome. It will be what it will be, and that will be it. So enjoy yourself. What are your views on IWM Russell 2000? Could you please cover this in weekly videos like SPY? Yeah, I guess I should start including the small cap index in there as well. I've been focusing mostly on SPY because I think, for the last couple of years, we've been in the realm of large cap. Large cap has been killing it. And I think we are in a period of large firm capitalism, like I said in the video, which means that, the main index is the one that's going to win. Just look at that sky for a minute. The sunsets just seem to be so alive when you have cloud cover. And look at that. That's a painting. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's real. Here's my hand. You can, where is it? There it is. There's my hand. It's real. It's not a painting, but I just looked down at the screen. I thought, wow, look at that. If you are a farmer, how would you hedge commodities so that you can get a better price? How do you hedge to get a better price? Well, if you have, let's say corn, for example, if your corn harvest is in September, you can use the September futures contracts. If they're in contango, the September futures contract would be at a higher price than the current spot price. So you can sell the September futures contract and you'll lock in a higher price. If the price does fall, you'll make money on the contract, and then you'll sell your corn at market at a lower price, but you'll at least make it up in the contract. If it's in backwardation, you'd be basically locking in a lower price. Which bank did you work for? I didn't work for any bank. If you're talking about prop trading, you don't really work for a bank, you work through a bank. You need somebody that finances you. That levers you up, and then you trade on their platform, and that was Merrill Lynch. Do you think it's ever worthwhile to look at things like gamma levels or GEX, DIX, or is that all just noise? I am sure there's basis points in there, but I think it's a lot of work to look at that. I don't know that you have an advantage on that. I think for a market maker, those things are important, but I think for a retail trader, yeah, I'm going to side with your last point. For a retail trader, it's probably a lot of noise, probably distracting from the bigger picture. Thoughts about Argentina market? I don't know anything about Argentina. I'm kind of stunted that way in that I really, know the U.S. market. I don't know too many other markets. Even living in Canada, for the years I lived in Canada, I knew almost nothing about the Canadian market. I couldn't even tell you what retail sales are. Are they up? Are they down? I mean, I have no idea. I never pay attention. You can be really, really good at one market, or you can be average at a lot of markets. Any opinion on GTC impact on NVIDIA price? I'm not quite sure what you mean by GTC. So many acronyms. You'll have to tell me what you mean by GTC. Which phase are we in the economic cycle? Late expansion cycle, early phase of recovery? That's a good question. I think we had a slowdown early 2022, or even early 2023, and then we just roared to life. So you could say that it was the continuation of a late expansion. There was a slowdown in there, and then it continued on. So I don't know if we'd call that the recovery phase, because there really was no contraction. It just seemed to be that we slowed down for a while and then reaccelerated. As an ex-Canadian, do you have a favorite hockey team? If you don't want to share, will you be watching the playoffs this year? When I was younger, I used to be a big hockey fan. Collected hockey cards, knew every player, all their stats. You could show me a picture of someone, I could tell you what team they played on and some vital stats. And then I sort of just lost that. So I'm not really much of a sports fan anymore. When I was younger, when I was a kid, everyone's favorite team was Montreal Canadiens, because, I mean, they had won the most Stanley Cups, I think, in their history up until 1980. Then I think you had a period where you had the Islanders, and I was a big Islanders fan through high school. Islanders, I think, got 4 in a row. Great goalie, Billy Smith. They had 4 in a row, and then the Oilers did 4 in a row. I remember the year the finals where they played the Oilers, and it was game 4, they were winning, it was going to be a sweep, and all the Oilers players were just sort of leaning against the bench. Some of them were just sitting down, and they just stopped playing. And it was the game. I don't know if any remember this, where Billy Smith just took a dive. The goalie just dropped to the ground, and in the interview after, he said, "If Wayne Gretzky can do it, so can I." In other words, fake it. He says, "If Wayne Gretzky can do it, so can I." And they won. That was the last year they won. But they had 4 in a row. After that, it just sort of drifted away. I wasn't much of a hockey fan anymore, even a sports fan. Who is your idol in investing? Well, Warren Buffett obviously makes a list, right? Howard Marks, I would say, makes the list. He's just such a rational person. Like, when you listen to him talk, he's not hyperbolic. He lays out his case very logically. It's somebody that I think I could listen to for hours on end, which I like. So those two. Thoughts on VIX? Well, I that's I don't know how to answer that. Thoughts on VIX? What are my thoughts on its level? What are my thoughts on playing the VIX? What am I? I'm not quite sure where you're going on that. You said that finance is a beautiful game. True. How did you find your love for the game of finance? Was your interest brewed from continuous learning and applying your knowledge? That is a good question. How did I eventually come to this? I think how I came to it is I had an idea for a business, and I thought it was a killer idea, till I found out that there was a publicly traded company already doing what I had thought of, and I was sort of depressed after that, thinking, oh my God, it's already been done. Everything's been done. Then I thought, well, hang on a second. I don't have to do it. It's already being done. I just have to buy shares of this company that are doing it, if I think it's such a great idea. So I did. And then after that, I just became hooked after that. So, any opinion on Skyline REITs or any other private REITs? I'm in, I think, a couple private REITs in Canada, because I can't get out. I was supposed to exit all my investments, but I simply can't get out. There's just no, when you're in private investments, there's no liquidity. You got to wait. And I'm out as of, I think, December of 2024 on 2 of them, and December of 2025 on another. So I still have Canadian income for a while. I don't know which private REITs I'm in. I may even be in Skyline. I don't know. I don't know which private REITs I'm in. I have debentures on private REITs, so it's more private credit to private REITs. And I think one of them, 2 of them are debentures. One is an equity position. Yeah, I think. Rate of return to be compounding at 15% a year. Well, if we're looking at Canadian REITs, it would not be shocking to me at all. The Canadian REITs would be on fire with the level of immigration coming into the country, and the unaffordability of housing and the high interest cost on mortgages. Where are they going to go, right? Where are they going to go? Even in the U.S., immigration levels have really started to increase. Estimates are that legal and illegal immigration in the last year was 3 million. Even if they're illegal, their immigration is illegal. I get it. Nobody's illegal. But yeah, some people are illegal. Murderers are illegal, for God's sake. Even if they are in the country illegally, they still got to rent somewhere, right? So the higher the levels of immigration, it just supports rent. They've got to live somewhere. Do you know why corn and wheat are at multi-year lows? Well, the worst of the Ukraine fallout never happened. So with improved yields, hang on a second. Just give me 1 second here. I got to take care of something. Okay, where are you? I see you. That's it. Out, out. Yeah, local wildlife. thinks that because it's getting dark, they can just walk into my house. Got rid of that one. All right. Corn and wheat multi-year lows. Do you think they have much upside because humans are very good at producing food now? I don't know. That's hard to say. It's usually when you have a season where you have very low prices, the next season there tends to be less planting of that particular crop. So it could be contrarian that maybe you get a year where prices will be higher. I haven't been following the crop reports enough, to form a good enough opinion, though. If I study for CFA only from Institute books, well, I'll be clear all the levels without Schweiz or any other notes. So the exam is only based on CFAI material. Nobody else's book. Nobody else's book. It's based only on the words in CFAI. So that's one of the reasons I never bothered writing books. Why would I? CFAI has all the books. Why would I ever write them? I risk saying something different than the books, and you risk learning something different or something wrong. And the exam is not based on anything I write. It's based on what CFAI writes. So I don't even see why you would even need Schweizer books at this point. Do you think what we learned in FSA in both level 1 and 2 is enough for financial statement analysis? Yes, it is. Sometimes when I read financial statements, I get frustrated. Well, it's probably because you don't quite understand the industry that they're in. You don't understand the financial instruments that they may be using, especially if they're using a lot of derivatives. You may not understand those things. Well, that's what Google is for. As you're reading these 10Ks and they say something that you don't quite understand, well, then you Google it. And as you read that, maybe you'll come across something else in reading it that you go, well, what is this? And then you Google that. And sometimes you'll go down rabbit holes for a while, but you'll come back out more knowledgeable than when you went in. And it may take you, 2-3 weeks to really get to know a company, to say that you understand 70% of what they're saying all the time. It might take you 2-3 years to get to understand 85 to 90% of what they're doing. It takes years with a company to really know what they're doing and how they operate, intuitively see the whole structure, right? So it's not like a novel. It's not a page turner. No 10K is a page turner, I'll tell you that much. They're bloody boring sometimes. I think AT&T holds the crown for the single most boring 10Ks and most boring conference calls you'll ever listen to in your life. Dear God, are they boring. But you got to fight your way through it. But yes, everything in level 1 and level 2 is enough. And then you will come across some transactions or some journal entries where you say, well, I don't understand what's going on here. That's where you're going to have to do some of your own learning. Thoughts on social capital? Would it still be worth to go to a target school for masters even if you pass level 2 for the name and network? Yeah, I think so. I don't know that I would spend $100,000 or $150,000 on a degree just to get a social network. But if I were going to spend $80,000 on a degree or $140,000 on a degree, the extra $60,000 to be in the right network, I absolutely would do that. If I was already spending money, I'd look at the incremental cost as my access to a network. Right? But I don't know that I would look at the whole cost, the whole thing is access to a network. I've been trying to sell weekly wheat options on wheat futures, losing money consistently. Do you think implied volatility is lower than actual volatility? So option premiums are underpaying? I don't have enough information there to answer the question. I'd need to know what delta, and I'd need to know something about what side you're on when you say that you're selling puts, you're selling calls, you're selling weekly, so that's tight. You know, a lot can go wrong in a week. Less can go wrong in a month, believe it or not. So, you know, I don't know what side you're on or how you're doing that. What age did you start? What age? Ooh, what age? That's a good question. Let's see, either late 20s or early 30s, somewhere around there. That animal's back. Hang on a second. Okay, get out. Where you going? Little bugger. Brave little guy. I have cat food out, and every night around this time he comes sneaking around to see if he can eat the cat food. While I was on, I could hear the bowl clicking away in there. I'm thinking, what's going on in there? It occurred to me, he's back. You mentioned higher dilution from convertibles. Wouldn't there be lower solutions since they are being issued at these record higher dilution? Wouldn't there be lower dilution? I think not solution, dilution, since they are being issued at these record high valuations. Okay, so they're bonds. Convertibles are bonds that will have some kind of conversion price. Each bond is convertible into how many shares of the underlying company if the underlying price appreciates. So it's not that bonds, it's not the valuation that the bonds are being issued at or the yield. Most of these yields are super low on convertible bonds, sometimes even zero. It is the potential for equity price appreciation so if equity prices increase, these convertibles end up being in the money. They usually have what's called a forced conversion clause, meaning the company doesn't want to keep paying an interest expense on bonds that should convert. So if the conversion value is positive, or the price of the bond, the price of the stock is above the conversion price necessary for conversion for like 5 days or something, the company then has the right to call the bond at a super low price. So if you're holding the bond, it will either be called away from you at a low price, or you may as well convert, which is the essence of a forced conversion. So no, it's not the price or the yield of the bonds that will matter for future dilution. It's the upward movement in the share price. I learned more from creating financial statements than just reading. This is, well, true. There is Z sound that's coming. Yeah, you hear it? You hear that? Those are cicadas. Every sunrise and every sunset, they come out and they scream. What the hell is going on? That's what they're saying. I don't know if you can speak cicada, but that's what they're saying. Thoughts on Aswat the Motorin? That's such a big broad statement. I respect his work. I respect his output. He's easy to listen to. He's not hyperbolic. He's pretty matter of fact and factual. I like that. He is a teacher, has been for a very long time. So when he, lays out his case, he does it in a very systematic way that you can follow. I like the guy, sure. Do you think a soft landing is possible now? Well, it almost seems like we had one, right? I mean, when you have this kind of GDP growth and this kind of productivity, those aren't soft landing statistics. Those are expansionary statistics. So we might have had the soft landing. And it's all up to the Fed now. If they hold rates at this level, the longer they hold it, the more it'll be unlikely that you'll maintain this. Seems so far earnings are okay. Fed acts quickly in cutting when there's something, they could probably engineer a soft landing. Even the Fed is tightening. So I think what we have to consider are other parts of the world, not just the U.S. The U.S. can't go it alone. And China, that animal is back again. What kind of guts does this animal have? Hang on, let me see if I can get it. Oh, you little bugger. I don't want to hurt it, but at the same time, I don't want it in my house. Yeah, so where did I leave off? We have to consider other economies on the planet. And right now, China's got some problems. There has been some video out of China. Somebody's been posting some videos walking on weekends, walking through malls, walking through grocery stores, and showing how absolutely empty they are, like just empty. He's saying this is Saturday at this time, and he's in a mall and he's showing, telling you what city he's in and what mall he's in, showing the mall. Like you can only read it on subtitles, but they're absolutely empty, meaning that the consumer is falling even faster, and that more and more people are saying we just don't have the money. I think we have to pay attention to that. So it's not just the U.S. Let's see. Hope you had a nice trip back in Canada. Did you bring back any maple syrup with you? I did, and all my house guests that came down in the last little while. The rent is 1 liter of maple syrup a week if you're going to stay with me, and they paid their rent. So I've got like a 3-year supply here, but that doesn't mean I'm going to waive my fee. It's still 1 liter of maple syrup a week. What do you eat in Costa Rica? A lot of pineapple, like a lot of pineapple. A lot of oranges, a lot of pineapple, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. Not too much steak because it's not that good down here. I don't know why, it's just not that good. I have a cook, so she pretty much does all my cooking for me. So it's a lot of meats with different sauces and vegetables, and I think there's some lasagna in the fridge for the weekend if I want to eat later tonight. And there's also some really, she takes this, I buy these hips of beef and she cuts them up, but then she boils them really, really slow, like for 6 hours. So that meat just falls apart, and she makes this mushroom sauce that's just absolutely incredible. My God, I think there's some of that in the fridge too. I eat all sorts of things. Do you think conservatives are going to win? And if so, can they enact anything? Yeah, I think they're going to win. I think everyone's had just about enough of this excessive progressive experiment that we've had, where we were the hyper sort of focus, the hyper focus on superficial markers of identity, and if you're from certain groups, then certain types of undesirable social behaviors were given a pass simply because you came from an historically marginalized group. I think we've all had just about enough of that. I can remember in Canada 8 years ago, before Trudeau won, you'd see a tent every now and then when you're walking your dog, you look through the trees, you see somebody's living out here in the tent. Now there's tent cities in parks. There's drug addicts openly injecting on the streets. I don't remember seeing that to that extent 8 years ago. The stabbings and the car thefts are off the charts. I don't remember that 8 years ago. but it's this, we give them a pass. We take into consideration that they have this background group, and we have lighter sentences or no sentences, or, how has that worked out? I think everyone's just sick and tired of that. A crime is a crime, period. Right? So I think barring the conservatives saying something really, really stupid at this point, I think it's theirs to lose. And it was the same the last time with Andrew Scheer. It was his to lose, and he lost it. It was his election to lose, and he lost it. Because he wasn't dynamic enough. He wasn't charismatic enough. Intelligent guy, youngest speaker in the House of Commons ever. Intelligent guy, terrifyingly intelligent, but just not charismatic. So I think it's the Conservatives to lose easily. Any thoughts on current Chinese copper smelter news? Does it only affect the price of copper in the short term? I think so. You had an overcapacity of smelters. And you had a lower supply of copper. So you had all of these smelters fighting for as much copper as they can get, and none of them are making any money. So something had to give. You have smelter overcapacity, so you shut down the smelters. That does not mean that there's less copper on the market. It just means that more smelters are now profitable. But it doesn't mean there's less copper on the market. So I think that this run-up is probably temporary. That doesn't mean that we might not see 420, 425 before we get the next set of earnings in April. We start to get earnings again, and if forecasts don't support higher prices, if forecasts are for increased production, if Southern Copper and Freeport come out and say we're increasing our production, if we start to see that, then that price is going to come right back down. So it's how they manage the supply story at this point from the miners that will determine whether or not prices go higher. I don't see China demand there. And India, I think, is going to be very careful not to repeat the same mistakes China made. I think they're going to avoid that big, massive overbuilding that China did. So, they have the benefit of seeing what happened there. So I don't know that demand from India can increase to replace the demand lost from China. So I think this is, an event within a larger trend. A larger trend playing out over 5-6 years. But this is a nice little event in here that if you had some exposure to copper miners, it'd be a nice place to make some extra premium by selling some calls. What else we got? Do you think the access you gain from CFA, CAIA, or FRM network after completing each designation is just as valid? Well, just as valid. Yeah, I do. If you have a CFA society in your area, certainly join it. Certainly join it. What do you think is the most effective way of charity? Yeah, that I used to give a lot to charity. Now we're starting to get dark out here. The sun has gone down. That was a fast sunset. Let's just scan this around and let's get a picture. Let's see if we can get that in there. I don't think we got a good enough view of what's going on there, but I guess that'll work for a while. We are looking at a bit of San Jose in the distance. The lights will start to show up more once the sky gets darker. I used to think giving money to charities was the most effective way. And I'm going to change, I've slowly come to change my mind on that. It's not that it's effective, it's efficient. It's an easy way. Give it to a charity, right? I don't know that it has a lot of upside to it. That I give it to a charity, the charity spends it, and then the charity needs, another 50,000 or 100,000 next year. But if I fund a business, you know, a couple of people with a business plan who need 50,000 or 100,000 to develop a prototype for a software or something, and they hit, then they start hiring more people, generating revenues, creating a tax base. Isn't that more charitable than giving it to a charity that will continually need it all the time? Wouldn't that be better, a better impact and a larger impact on society as a whole by funding potential growth opportunities? So I think, you know, when I think about charity now, I think that's probably a better way to go. Yeah, it's starting to get dark now. I don't know that there's much to see out there. I'm trying to give you a view of the skyline from San Jose as best that I have it. But, oh, it's dark now. Let's see what we have this way. Anything exciting? Nothing exciting. It's all dark. So let me see if I can turn this around. I don't know if I'll even show up on here, but let's see. No, I don't even show up on here. I have the camera facing me now. That's how dark it is out here. Let me try to turn on a light out here. You're starting to see me there, right? Let's see if we can't turn on a light. Is this on? There we go. There I am. Oh, look at my hair. It's a mess. There. Why don't I just show up on camera? How's that sound? Okay, let's see where I left off. I was in the pool today, so this is why I look like I look. Let's go back to let me put this a little bit away from me. And let's see where we left off here with the questions. Banks are the worst financials to go through, dry and boring. It's like putting dust in your eyes. Yeah, banks aren't that exciting at all. I really enjoyed introducing Long John Baldry. It'd be amazing if you could make a playlist for these wonderful sunsets. I thought about doing that, curating a playlist every night, or at least an artist every night. YouTube won't let me do it, so the most that I can do is simply just tell you what to listen to. But what I could probably do, is put a playlist on my channel of, you know, some really interesting songs. I think there are some good artists out there. What else what type of animal is it? I'm not sure if it's, we got these funny looking raccoons here with these long tails and these really pointy noses. It's either a raccoon or a possum. I can never get a good look at it because it runs really fast. So it sees me and it just runs, but it's something. I don't know what it is. Oh. What else do we have here? Selling weekly put options. If assigned, I sell more weekly put and sell calls from your reduced loss video. The trick is to sell calls hoping to reduce 20% loss but still losing. Then move on. I would say if you're still losing, move on to something else. You might just not understand well enough the underlying that you're trading. So yeah, probably move on to something else. How often do you live sunset streams? I don't know. I never have a plan for it. I just happen to be sitting here and I'll see the sun coming down. I'll think, why not? So you know, no real plan. Listen to your telecom video. Do you think T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon have a moat based on their spectrum or network? It would be difficult to see a fourth network player. I think that would be difficult to see. Where would it come from? Who would it be? I think the networks are the networks at this point. I would have a hard time, you know, if a startup said we're going to start building on our network, it would be like, wow, that's a significant amount of money and a long way to go. Yeah, I think I don't know if I'd call it a moat per se, but I think those three right now are probably as safe as they can be from a fourth player. Yeah. You mentioned Howard Marks. Do you recommend his memo or his audio series Behind the Memo? I think almost anything that he puts out is good. I have 2 of his books. Well written, easy to follow, and he's not that concerned about trying to demonstrate how smart he is. Some authors want to do that. They want to show you how smart they are by writing in a way where you think, I can't understand what you're saying. He's really understandable. Not finance related. Fiance and I will be on our honeymoon in Costa Rica for 10 days in June. What should we do? The guests I had here did a whole bunch of things. They went to La Fortuna, they went to La Paz, they went to, I keep wanting to say Manuel Ortega, but I know that's not the name of it. It's Manuel something is the name of the park, and I keep forgetting it until I hear it. I go, that's it. But I keep forgetting it. What did they say? They said it's all right, but it wasn't as fun as La Paz and La Fortuna. It wasn't as fun as those places. So yeah, I think those are places to go. I guess it depends on where in Costa Rica you're going to be, because there isn't just one city. I'm in San Jose, which is like the Central Valley, and then you have the coasts. You have the Caribbean coast, which you might want to avoid. And then you have the Pacific coast. The further north you go, the better it is. Let's see. Any kids? How do you educate them investing? No kids. How early do you think we should teach our children about investing? I don't know that you'd want to teach them about investing. I think you'd want to teach them about saving first, because savings equal investments. And if you have no savings, you have no investments. Investments could be sort of difficult to understand, I think, for kids. Whereas savings is pretty straightforward. Teach them how to save first. Would there be a possibility that the entire market is being a passive investing market? If so, what would happen? I don't know that anything would happen, really. So let's make a decision tree. A dollar, an incremental dollars going in the market. It can go in passively or it can go in actively. Even if it's going in actively, it's going to have some kind of share with a passive investment. So even if it's going into an active fund that tracks the S&P 500, for example, it's going to have some overlap with the S&P 500. I guess the easiest way, I think, is just to use extreme cases. Let's say that the entire market is passive. Then the only active investor would probably do very, very well, because if the entire market is passive, no one is investigating intrinsic value. No one is buying the undervalued and selling the overvalued. Overvalued stays overvalued, undervalued stays undervalued. That I guess if there was one active player in the market, I guess they wouldn't do very well, because everyone else is passive. You'd need enough active investors to actually move a price that would force a passive investor to say, oh, sell my stuff, I'm losing money. So I don't know that you'd ever get to all passive, because active would then probably outperform. And then if it's too active, most would underperform. Then you'd probably say I was better off being passive. So I think it's kind of like a pendulum over time. How much do you pay your house staff, and what are the wages in Costa Rica? Wages aren't very high. Minimum wage, I think, in US dollar terms, I think minimum wage is like $640 a month, US. I pay more than minimum wage. But when there's more to what you pay than what you pay per month. So there's 12 months out of the year. You have to pay a 13-month for free. In December, you pay a 13-month. So you're actually paying for 13 months a year. So let's say you pay $1,000 a month. You'd think it's $12,000 a year. That's 13 because the 13 month is free. But your contribution is 26.6%. So if you pay $1,000 every month, you got to give $266 to the government. So if you're paying 12, you're paying 13, then you're paying 1.266 on top of that 13, just to give you some round numbers to work with. It's kind of misleading when you hear the wage. You think, well, that's a low wage cost. Add the 13th month, add the 26.66% on, and you start to get a higher cost. Car thieves. I saw a video. Toronto police recommended leaving car keys near the door so thieves can just take it because the thieves often have guns. Yeah, I heard about that, and I thought, you must be freaking kidding me. They're just. Why not just stand by the car with the door open like a valet, holding the keys out for them? Why not just give it to them? Why not just give it to them? Putting your keys outside because they have guns. I mean, this is where we are. I mean, this is where we are. I think we've all had just about. You know how to fix this problem? It's really easy. It's really easy to fix. The next time you catch a car thief, and he goes to trial, it's minimum 20-year sentences. Minimum 20-year sentences. That's an overwhelming punishment. Minimum 20-year sentences. You'll clean up you'll clean that up in no time, because now the cost is too great. 20 years. 20 years. No way. Not me. You'll clean it up. When you're soft on crime, you get crime. When you move towards the progressive end of things, you end up getting more of the things you're trying to solve. For example, if you want to increase poverty in your country, increase the social safety net. In other words, offer more social services for people, you will increase poverty. You won't decrease it, you'll increase it. If you want to increase crime, be soft on crime. Be soft on crime. The people who are committing crimes aren't going to go, oh, I'm getting a second chance. This is you've considered things. This is fantastic, and they're not suddenly going to go straight. You're just going to get more crime. You're going to get more crime. So if you want more of something, either lower the cost of the action or raise the safety net that you're providing. You will get more of that kind of stuff. Leave your keys by the door. I mean, come on. Let's see. Any UFOs today? No. There's an airport just over that way. I don't know if you can see my finger pointing. So it's late at night, so planes are now going the other way. They're taking off. They're much louder when they take off. When they land, they're kind of quiet, but taking off, they make a lot more noise. What color is your Bugatti? I don't have a Bugatti. I have a pickup truck back in Canada, and down here I have an Audi Q5. Not the right car for these roads. I bought it for staff to run around, but now I have two staff that neither one of them have a driver's license, so I got this little car I don't like driving around in. What is a better option, teaching or equity analyst? It depends on where you get your meaning in life. Equity analysis is fun. It's a big puzzle you have to solve. I think that's fun. Any analytical thing I think is fun. I like teaching. Let's see. Weren't the networks just spin-offs of the original AT&T anyways? Quite a few of them were. And then they got into the baby bells, and then they slowly started coming back so that you pretty much have them right back to the form they were in. But yeah, Manuel Antonio, there it is, Manuel Antonio. I keep wanting to say Manuel Ortega, and I don't know why I got that in my head, but Manuel Ortega is somebody. I should Google that to see why I got that name in my head all the time. Manuel Antonio, that's it. Yeah. I failed level 1 a bit last November. Registered for May, and I'm reviewing all the LOSs. Planning to do 45 days of questions mock. Is that the right strategy? Any advice? Well, you'll know it's the right strategy if you feel the knowledge consolidating in your head, where you're reviewing things, saying, I got this, I know this, I got that. But if you're still struggling, then probably not the right strategy. But the idea of putting in 45 days, yeah, that's the right strategy. Lean into it, because learning is really about putting in the time. You got to put in the time. Working in private wealth, how do you balance passive solo investing with the value add of portfolio management? I don't know. I haven't been confronted with that dilemma. I don't know. What do you get for breakfast? Do you miss Tim Hortons? No, not really. I don't miss Tim Hortons. I would only drink Tim Hortons coffee if I was going somewhere and that just happened to be on the way. But other than that, not really. Breakfast, eggs, egg omelets, mushroom omelets, French toast. She does French toast really nicely. Now that she stopped toasting the toast, there's a special bread I bought, and you have to do it right, but she was just toasting it. She thought the bread was French, and well, okay, you toast it, here's your French toast, and it was terrible. What's the easiest way to emigrate from Canada? Just leave. That's the easiest ways. Just leave. Head to a country that will take you for some reason. Just leave. I keep going back to Stopping by the Woods video. A very good reminder to act. You've already recommended Nietzsche and Shakespeare. What about poetry, though? There's a lot of good poetry. There's a lot that I don't like as well. Not that I don't like it. I just don't like the style of it, or it doesn't hold any meaning for me. Yeah, I don't know that there's any one in particular that I like. Robert Frost is probably, I think, the Beethoven of poetry. That if you're looking for somebody who worked well within structure, but could explore so much in structure, Robert Frost, I think. I have a question on your reduce, eliminate, loss. So the trick is don't add to the position. For example, after a sign, yeah, so you, if something is working against you, you don't want to add delta, you want to subtract delta. You want to find a way to subtract delta from your position. If you don't actually just want to close it, then yeah, you have to find a way to reduce the delta. Or if you have negative delta, a way to, the easiest way to say it is, wherever delta you have, you want to find a way to move towards zero. But then, do you close options if it goes up? Because once the calls you sold are in the money, it has very little time value left. I don't know that I could put things down in a set of rules. Give me a scenario and I'll tell you what I'm most likely to do, as opposed to saying, here are the rules that I would follow all the time. It depends on what I'm trying to get done. It depends on you know, do I want shares called away from me? Am I comfortable with that? Do I, you know, were they naked calls and now I got to worry? Because if they were, I got to buy Delta. I got to buy the underlying shares, which can extend my break even. But I guess it comes down to, you give me a scenario, and I'll tell you. I guess that's the only way I could do it. I'll tell you what I would do in that condition. Prior call. What are your thoughts on NVIDIA valuation? Well, you can look at it on price to sales. It's nosebleed territory for sure. If you look at it on price to growth, PEG ratio, it appears undervalued. If you believe that the growth rate they have is more than just a short-term build-out. In other words, if you think that, you know, in the next 3 or 4 quarters, anybody who wanted a GPU is going to have a GPU. A lot of these companies that are buying GPUs now, all these venture capital companies, are going to fail. You know, they all can't work out. You'll have, you know, a fallout and a consolidation, and suddenly you'll have an overcapacity of GPUs. If you think that's the outcome, then they're massively overvalued at this point. But if you think that this build out is a decade-long build out, if you know, next week we hear NVIDIA say total addressable market is 2.5 trillion. They're selling 100 billion a year. You know, if they double their sales next year to 200, then double it to 400, then double it to 800 over you know, 1, 2, 3 years down the road, 3 years later, they've still only addressed half the market. With 100% growth rate for the next 3 years, then they're massively undervalued at this point. Do you think that that's what's going on? That's what it all rests on, is what do you think is the size of the market right now? I was joking about the Bugatti Andrew Tate reference. I know about Andrew Tate. I know all the legal troubles he's having right now. I've never really listened to much of what he had to say. I kind of 20% agreed with some of, you know, when I did listen to him, about 20% of the stuff he said, I thought, oh, okay, well, you know, I mean, it's reasonable, but 80% was okay. Like, you know, you can be a man without thinking about women like that, or treating women like that. You can be a man without that. That to me just didn't seem to be necessary. But hey, he had lots of people following him. He made a lot of money. He became very well known. So if that was the goal, you can't argue that the guy was not successful. He had a message. There was an audience that liked the message. He knew that, and he worked it. All the power to him in that respect. I wonder if his message were more moderate, if he would have been as successful. I don't think so. I don't think that you can be successful by finding the middle road. I think you have to polarize. I think you have to go all the way one way or all the way the other way. I don't think being in the middle is popular anymore, even though most people are in the middle. How exciting is it to hear, well, you both have some points here. You know, next video, well, you both have some points here. Next video, well, you both have some points here. I mean, how exciting is that to listen to? It's like, no, I want to hear that I'm absolutely right and they're absolutely wrong. And if you tell me that, I will think that you're a smart person. And I think that's, you know, on social media, I think the game is to polarize. The strategy, the only working strategy, is to polarize. I mean, look at what I do, and look at the views any one of my videos get. 10,000. Any market outlook over the course of the week might get 10,000. And I see some channels with somebody early 20s, talking about a meltdown in the housing market, or that crypto is going to 500,000 in the next 6 months, and they'll have 50,000 views in 3 hours. Something I will never achieve, 50,000 views in 3 hours. You look at that and you say, well, it's because you're polarizing. It's because you're saying something that's not true, but you're saying something that people need to listen to or want to listen to. Whether they agree with it or not, they want to listen to polarizing stuff. They don't want to listen to down the road, middle of the road kind of stuff. So maybe I need to be more polarizing. I don't know that I don't know that I can. With an academic background, you become so programmed to the facts. As much as you can, you try to stick with the evidence and the facts. You become so programmed to it that I don't know that I could ever be a preacher because of that. Preaching for whatever you're preaching for, I don't know if I could ever do that. What else we got here? How are you operating in Costa Rica without speaking Spanish? Day-to-day life must be frustrating. Not really. My Spanish is getting better every day. I listen to Spanish radio. There's speaker systems throughout the whole house. So I put Spanish radio on, and I am picking up. I'm hearing things, and I'm repeating them throughout the day. I am getting better at hearing Spanish, which makes me better at speaking it. And I'm still doing Duolingo. I'm just reviewing everything I've done because I've lost quite a few words with taking a month off. In a year, I'll be mostly conversational fluent, mostly. But it's putting in the time, right? In the meantime, there are great translators. DeepL, D-E-E-P-L, DeepL is really great. You can hit the microphone button, you can talk. As soon as you stop talking, it translates it into Spanish. My housekeeper does it, and I understand her, and then I type my answer out, and she understands me. So we get along. I mean, I can communicate with her, and every day I get more words. So, I try to use them as best I can when I'm alone with her. I try my best to use them. Not as often as I should, but I do try my best. And then, like I say, I listen to, I also have Pluto TV, the app for Pluto TV. And it plays in the language of the country you're in. So I can't pick the language. So I listen to South Park in Spanish. I'll just have it on. So I can start to pick up words, and because I've seen the episodes before, I kind of know what they're talking about, so I'm kind of picking up what they're saying. But I'll do that. If you had to take CFA exam today, do you think you would pass? Yes. Yeah. I could take all 3 right now, and I'd give me 2 days to review ethics, because I don't have any advantage in ethics over anyone else. It's not a problem. What is the best place to start Nietzsche? Oh, that's a good one. What would be the best place? Beyond Good and Evil, I think, is probably a good place to start. And then you'll probably understand his concept of the overgoer, the Übermensch, better if you understood Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah, that's a good place to start. Any thoughts on Newmont? Close to a 52-week low, gold close to an all-time high. I don't know much about Newmont mining, but I would probably look to their debt if that's what's going on. Either look at their debt or look at their operating costs. Something is going on. Yeah. I failed level 1 twice. Should I try again? Do you enjoy it? I mean, did you enjoy it while you were studying for it, or did you say, "Oh God, I just can't wait to get done"? If you didn't enjoy it, don't do it again. If you enjoyed it, then do it again. But figure out what's standing between you and success. If you have an educational background behind you, it can't be capacity or ability. It's got to be something else. So if you enjoyed it, and you have an educational background, yeah, do it again. Just fix what's wrong. Could it become possible that quantum computing becomes more prevalent in companies that provide AI services? And looking ahead, could quantum computing potentially support traditional chips? So I don't know enough about quantum computing. I do know that it is capable of analyzing multiple states at the same time. So for scenario analysis, it must be absolutely wicked. But I just don't know enough about quantum computing to be able to make an assessment about bringing quantum computing and AI together and say, oh, here's a pathway. I'm far from an expert on that. Why do I feel you might be a Ron Paul kind of guy? I don't know. Tell me about Ron Paul. Is that Rand Paul's father, Ron Paul? I think he was, I think he leaned more towards the Austrian School of Economics, more libertarian. Do I have that right? Do you believe in seeking alpha wherever you can find it, or to find your niche and dive down? I think I think it's probably better to find your niche and go deep. You could look at equities, but also cryptocurrency. Well, those are two different things, right? With two different drivers. Oh, I shouldn't even say two different drivers. Multiple different drivers. They're different things. But that doesn't mean you can't learn. You can learn about cryptocurrency. I mean, I have been doing the best I can on that because it exists. They're ETFs. I mean, it's out there. I personally would never own it. I would never buy it because the only time I would be all in is if you show me a use for the blockchain other than just for trading crypto. Show me a use for the blockchain other than trading crypto, I'm all in. And when I say show me a use, not a theoretical use case, I mean show me where it's being used right now and gaining traction and growing. And it's just a matter of time before it's going to be in my life. Show me where that's happening. Show me a possibility of transactions just going straight up, and I'm all in on the coin. All in on the coin. Because you need the coin. If you have these transactions, you need the coin. But right now you don't have the transactions. The only transactions are the trading of the coin. Well, that to me seems like a circular argument. Hey, this technology is fantastic, and here are the coins. And when you trade the coins, it's traded on the technology. So the technology is for the coin, and the coin's for the technology. It's kind of like a circular argument. It's like, well, but what else does it do? I mean, doesn't it do anything else? So far, no. So I understand the halving. I understand forking. I understand proof of work versus proof of stake. I understand these things, but I cannot avoid the end result is what is being done on the blockchain. That's the primary thing. The currency's the secondary thing to pay somebody to process something on a distributed ledger because there's no one person in control. So please tell me what the hell the blockchain is for. And if you say, well, to trade the currency, well then it's something that's made up to justify its own existence, right? No, I'm not in on that. Let's see. Okay. Sarah says LOL maybe, but I don't know what that was coming off of. The story of your upbringing. It's not much of a story to tell. I was young. I aged. I left. Here I am. There's not much to tell. Really, honestly, there honestly is not much to tell. It's not as if I can say, oh, I was poor and had no shoes, and I walked to school every day in the snow, uphill both ways. I mean, it was, I don't know, wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was, unremarkable, I'd say, unremarkable. Worst part of Costa Rica. That's a tough one. I would say just the sheer dishonesty and the sheer amount of just low level crime and dishonesty. Case in point, anyone who's been down here will probably recognize my statement. When you go out to a restaurant, check your bill. Check your bill. There is an almost 100% probability that you were charged for something you didn't get. And they'll take it off your bill. Oh, it was a mistake. But if you sit at that table long enough, you'll see that they make that mistake with a whole bunch of tables. Every second, third table they make that mistake on. So either they're very incompetent or they know exactly what they're doing. You just got to keep protecting yourself all the time from that. All the time. Of being overcharged for things, being told a price because of where you live and what you look like. So if I want work quoted, the last thing you do is have people come out to the house to quote you on it. Come on. They want half a year's pay off of you for whatever job you do. You have to have multiple people. And you have to go to their location and explain what you want. So that by the time they come here, they're already locked into certain numbers that they already told you. They're already locked in. So a good example is I want an aquarium built in this space that I have. And it's a fairly big space. It's going to be a large aquarium. Somebody came over, quoted me a price. It ended up being $13,000 for this aquarium, which seemed rather on the high end. Then I had to save the lives of some fish, and I had them in a bag, and I said, we got to get these fish somewhere. So I had somebody drive me to an aquarium store. I was just going to give them the fish because these fish were going to die. They're just little guppies, but they were going to die. And while I was there, I explained the size of the aquarium I want, and I got a range of prices. They come out to the house. Well, now it's between 6 and 8. 8 if I go really high end, 6 if I go basic with no coral. Well, that's very different than 13, right? So it's that kind of thing every day that just happens, you know. And it's not limited. The restaurant thing isn't just limited to people like me. It's the locals do the same thing. You know, if you're sitting in a restaurant, look around. The ones that are looking line item by line item on their bill, they're locals, because they know it happens. It just happens. If you are down here and you go to 10 different restaurants, I guarantee you at least seven times you've overpaid. If you're not looking at your bill, at least 7. And it's not just a mistake. It is intentional. It is intentional and widespread. That's the one thing I don't like down here. The one negative thing I've got to say is I'm hesitant to say it's cultural. I'm hesitant to say it's cultural because that is, you know, making a broad statement. But it's widespread. It's widespread enough that it is somewhat, you know, you would have to understand the culture, I guess, to understand it. And maybe in understanding the culture, it's not as bad as what it seems like, but it does seem, you know, a bit of a drag. You know, you seem to live your life on your terms, which is commendable. Did you ever go through a phase of existential crisis? Doesn't everybody? 30 was not hard for me. 40 was hard. 40 was tough. 40 was really tough. I don't know why. 50 was nothing. 50 was but 40 was tough. Existential crisis, I think at least 2-3 times in my life I've done that, sure. But who hasn't? Who hasn't? If you live a good life meaning that you know, you're going to get out of your lane every now and then and take chances and explore. yeah, you're going to come across existential crisis. I mean, who doesn't, right? Yeah, yeah. As far as living life on my own terms, being commendable, it's a double-edged sword, right? So yeah, I tended to have done that, and at times it puts me on the outside of certain groups. It's like, well, you know, you you're not acceptable. I guess is a good word, because you don't because you're not political enough, or you don't fit into certain things. Like when I worked in universities, I never really fit in the university culture. I never really worked well on committees. I had no problem saying committees are just a senseless, huge waste of time while in the committee meeting, and that doesn't always get you a lot of friends, right? So sometimes you should keep your opinions to yourself, but sometimes it's hard to keep your opinion to yourself when you're freaking wasting your time in a committee meeting. So for anyone out there who's ever been in a committee meeting with me, stop wasting your time. It's a bloody waste of time. You're looking a bit jacked. Are you natty? Okay, you crazy kids and your language these days. Are you natty? The hell does natty mean? I'm gonna have to look that up in the Urban Dictionary. Don't know what that means. Private credit appears to be the talk of the town nowadays. Do you think that it could end very badly given the rush into it? Well, ever since, I mean, you can trace this back to the increased bank standards after 2008. Because of those increased bank standards, a lot of the types of loans they would normally give that are normally called leveraged loans, a lot of those went away. The banks didn't want them on their books anymore. So the private market, when there's an inefficiency like that, the private market's going to step in. And now that you have increased bank regulation still going on, the private market's just going to step in more and more because it's an inefficiency, which now offers a higher return because of that inefficiency. So increasing bank regulation, increasing private credit, they go hand in hand, and they have grown hand in hand. So yeah, as long as you have more bank regulation on a go-forward basis, you'll have more private credit opportunities. Are you a stoic? I don't know that I would call myself a 100% stoic, but stoicism, I think, has a lot of good tenets to it, that it is worth exploring. But I don't know that I could. I mean, it's almost monk-like if you're going to live a life like that. I don't know that I would call myself a stoic, although I think having a stoic streak in you, I think is good. Yeah, I think has some benefits. Do you ever buy calls? Yes, I do. Or puts when you are a certain direction. I do, but never never speculatively. But I will if it's in combination with something else I'm trying to get done. But yeah, I do buy calls, like weekly options or even zero. No, I don't do weeklies or zeros. That's going into gambling. That's just treating the market like a casino. No, I don't do that. Are you doing the specialized pathway readings or just Richie? No, I'm doing them. I'm doing private markets right now, almost all the way through. I usually read everything first so that I don't, if in the first couple of readings I find that there's this long example, but then you get to reading 5 and that long example is useless because you're revisiting the whole concept in a deeper way, then I know not to waste my time going through the long example in an earlier reading. So I read everything. Then I kind of lay out how my screens will look in a very in a very high level sense. I don't actually do all the screens. I figure out, well, what's my pathway through all this? How am I going to do this? Where am I going to put examples in? So you almost storyboard the whole section. And then you start doing each reading. And once you have that structure, each reading falls off very quickly. You can do a reading in about 4 or 5 days, beginning to end. But it takes maybe a month of setup, and then I shouldn't say a month, maybe 3 weeks of setup, and then you can knock them off really fast. So I'm on the private markets one now. And then I'll do private wealth management, which it's going to be boring. I can tell right now it's going to be boring. It's going to be boring, but it's got to be done, right? Do you ever look at Tasty Trade's option studies they put out? No. I'm familiar with Tasty Trade. I know who it is. It's the previous seller of Thinkorswim that started that one. Tom Sosnoff. And I recognize that name because Thinkorswim was a case study for an entrepreneurship course that I had done. So I know the selling price or who they sold to. So I know he's well financed. But beyond that, I don't really follow much on that. Blockchain in medicine, India is trying to implement. Okay, you have that right about Ron Paul, libertarian guy with non-interventionist foreign policy. Well, I don't know if I'd be non-interventionist. I think there are some times where you have to intervene, but certainly not to the extent that's going on today. I want to start your market outlook series. Do you recommend any starting point? Yeah, I did a video. All you have to do on my channel is just search for understanding the market outlook, and it'll explain on each screen what it is that you're looking at, how I get the numbers and what they mean. But you don't have to go back any period of time to watch them. I mean, they're time sensitive. Each one really is for the week that we're on. I've been trying to get into a finance role past level 1, currently enrolled for level 2. It's been hard to get a job. Would you recommend a master's program? So many other questions to ask first. What region of the world are you in? How big is the finance industry there? How much of a club is that finance industry? How well into the club are you? Who do you know? Who knows you? A whole bunch of questions to ask first before we go throwing a master's degree at it. Also, is there something wrong with your resume? Is there something wrong with you? Do you just not perform well in interviews? I wouldn't go throwing a master's degree onto your resume without figuring out if it's something else first that can be easily solved. And if that can be solved, then you let the company you work for pay for your master's, not you. Let's see. Come to India. We'll take good care of you here. I'm sure there are a lot of fans waiting. You know how many videos I've seen of tigers attacking either people or cattle in India just out of nowhere? You think I'm going to India? No. I have in my life successfully avoided tiger attacks by following one simple strategy. I don't go where they are. Period. You got tigers, I'm not going. Let me know when you get rid of all the tigers, and I'll show up, because I kind of like the elephants, but I'm not into the tigers at all. Not even a little bit. Let's see. What if I only do practice questions on CFAI in your study package? I don't enjoy reading in general. Can I still pass the CFA? Well, those questions are so difficult to answer because that question comes packaged in an individual that I know nothing about, other than, can I do this and pass? I don't know. Can you? I know people who have, but can you? I know people who can do backflips. I can't do one of those. I'm not one of those people. So if I say, well, can I do a backflip? Sure, humans can do backflips. I'm not one of those humans. Sure, there have been people who have passed and have told me, look, I only used you for 1 month. I didn't read a single word and I passed. Well, okay, that's you. I don't recommend that as a strategy for anyone else. That's you. So Sarah, your question, I don't know anything about you or enough about you to be able to answer that question, but you can answer it yourself. You have an educational background. You have gone through first year, second year, third year university, I'm sure. And you've had courses in which you've been very successful, and I'm sure you've had courses where you did the average and maybe you weren't so successful in some others. For the ones that you were successful in, did you get by that way? Oh, I didn't read very much and I only did the end of chapter questions in the book. Maybe I did a few assignments and I got an A. And if that's you, then sure, you can do it. If the answer to that is no, oh no, the A's, I mean, I really had to dig in and work for, well then, no. I would say no. A pass at level 1 and level 2 is kind of like a low B. A low B would be a pass if we're trying to think about it in terms of grade equivalent. Level 3, a high C, a mid to high C would be a pass at level 3. Did you consider Florida when planning to move out of Canada? I did. In fact, I thought that I'm going to go there first because I had spent time in Florida in my younger 30s, and it was fun. And I thought, well, I don't mind doing that again. Florida's fun. And the tax rate would drop considerably. I'd have like a 30% tax rate down from 53%. But the thing I remember about Florida is July and August is stupid hot. I mean, the humidity is stupid hot. And mosquitoes. Lots of mosquitoes. Whereas here, there's no humidity. Very few mosquitoes. Now, there was a big mosquito thing here a couple of weeks ago where it was like, my God, the mosquitoes. But tonight I haven't been bitten once. Last night I think only one bite. This morning one. I mean, it's almost non-existent in the Central Valley. You get a lot more mosquitoes out around the coast. And here I get a tax rate that goes all the way to 0. An income tax rate that goes all the way to 0. Oops. Now, I got to pay health care down here, but I would have had to pay health care in Florida. And health care in Florida is, for me, was a hell of a lot more expensive than it is here. A hell of a lot more expensive. So I did consider Florida. Let's see. Just did level 3 in February. I don't like my job in investment banking. Now I'm focused on a transition to be an equity analyst, focused on value investing. Do you have career tips, book sources, things? So let me say this as widely as I can. I am far removed from the job market. Whenever I get questions about the job market, I really don't know what today's job market is like. I don't know if this social bent we've been on is affecting the job market, if it affects any prospects, if it's difficult for white straight men to get jobs. I don't even know any of that anymore. I don't know what companies look for. I am very far removed from the job market. Basically, I've never really had a real job in my life, and I'm way too old to even be anywhere near the job market. When I say way too old, I mean I'm certainly not going to get a job as an entry-level equity analyst because I really have no runway, is what companies would say. Not like I'll be with them for the next 10 years. So, yeah, if you ask me questions about the job market, I am far removed. I wouldn't have good answers for you. Natural, no steroids. Oh, no. Oh, I've never done steroids in my life. Never have I done steroids in my life. So, no. Yeah. That's what that means. Okay. Can you explain leveraged loans? A leveraged loan is a loan to a company that has a lot of debt. That's all it is. It's just you're a company. Usually they're used for growth, well, not so much for growth, but buyouts and acquisitions, where you're going to get it done with a lot of debt because you have a high level of leverage. The loan is called a leveraged loan. That's what a leveraged loan is. What would be the best place to look for the Canadian Fed data? StatsCan. StatsCan is everything. They got an app. You can download the app, but StatsCan is your best source. Probably won't be as comprehensive as Fred, but it is your best source in Canada. Live stream while it's raining. It doesn't rain. We're gonna have to wait till the winter, and the winter here is was it July, August, September? There, I'm told it rains every day. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it rains every day. But yeah, I can do a live stream when it's raining. I don't know what the view will look like other than a cloud of water coming down. But once we get into the season where it rains, it apparently rains every day. You mentioned the wealth management topic is going to be boring. I'm just curious on your opinion on how to differentiate yourself as a portfolio manager with retail clients. Well, there's a difference between a portfolio manager and a wealth manager, right? A wealth manager is a relationship role. It's relationship management. You're not really managing a portfolio of assets. Somebody else is. You're usually just recommending certain funds, and usually the strategic asset allocation came after you did a risk aversion questionnaire, and then there are some model portfolios that you say, okay, well, let's build this for you. And usually you've sent that information on to another part of the organization that gives you the SAA. You're really a relationship manager, which for me, having a much more analytical mind, relationship management seems kind of boring to me, right? But for a people person and a relationship type person, it might be super exciting for them. It's just not my thing. So I think, when I looked at the readings and the LOSs and the topics, I thought, oh God, this is going to be boring. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. It looked boring to me. So, what's your workout routine? Right now, nothing, because I don't have a gym down here. I could go to the gym, but I don't want to. I don't have a gym, but I'm having one built. This side of the house, on the other side, is being extended out, and over there's a hill that goes down. So what they're going to do is they're going to carve out inside the hill, and they're going to put in another facility inside under the hill. So it'll be carved into the side of the mountain with windows all the way across. I think I'm going to make that the theater, change the theater to an office or a boardroom, and then change the apartment above the garage to another office with the garage turning into a gym. I think. I was going to convert the stables into a gym, but I thought the stables can only be stables, so we'll just leave them as that, and then the next person will have some excitement with the stables. Unless I get little ponies. Yeah, I thought if I got horses, I wouldn't get horses. I get those little miniature ponies. They're so cute. I just get like 4 or 5 of those little miniature ponies. I don't know what to do with them yet. Let's see what else we got here. Whether it's from the market is going bananas on CPI beating expectations. Do you think the market reaction is exaggerated? It seems the Fed is aware of a bumpy CPI based on their SEP. So no news for the Fed. I don't know that the market really went bananas. It introduced some volatility. TLT didn't do very well. But nothing ever goes in a straight line. Nothing ever goes straight down. If you look at how inflation has gone down, it went down, then for a couple of months it went up, then straight back down again. Now we're going up. It's been a couple of months, and wouldn't surprise me if we have another downswing to that. So, yeah, I don't know that it's the resurgence of inflation. Let's find some. I got to end this soon, so let me find some good questions here. Favorite, I don't really have any favorite YouTube channels for finance. Trying to find some questions that aren't repeats of some things I've already talked about. How does high turnover hedge funds mitigate unfavorable short-term tax rates? They don't. High turnover hedge funds are tax inefficient. They're far more tax inefficient, so they don't mitigate unfavorable short-term tax rates. They propagate them. Are you happy? Yep, I am. In life, subjectively, are you happy and contempt? I think you mean content with life. I have no contempt for life. Am I happy and content? Yeah. Yeah. With life, sure. That doesn't mean I'm not ambitious and that I don't still have goals, and that I sometimes get frustrated with the progress towards those goals. I mean, sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm happy. I'm generally happy. It doesn't mean that you have no problems in life. I mean, I got problems. You got interpersonal problems. You got problems with people you deal with. There's always problems, but that's just part of life. Nothing, the idea of being happy doesn't mean that everything goes perfectly and swimmingly. To me, that's the definition of hell, right? So it's, yeah, I'm generally happy. Generally happy. Anyone with money in life is happy. That's not true. That's not true. That is not true. I know people who otherwise should be happy and are just miserable all the time. I know people who I've known people like that, not just recently, but throughout my life I've known people think, why are they so miserable? If anyone should be happy, it's them. Why are they so miserable? Yeah, it's money doesn't guarantee that you're going to be generally happy. So no, I wouldn't say anyone with money in life is happy. What's your favorite drink? I don't drink alcohol. So favorite drink? I like coffee with maple syrup. 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. I think it's just nice. Tea. I like certain types of tea. I like red tea the best, but it's hard to get a good red tea. It's just rare. I don't know why. Let's see, regarding beta delta dollar, I have agency ABR in my portfolio. I see it more as bonds with mortgage credit spreads, true, but it crushed my BBD with agency having a beta of almost 2. So I would ignore the beta. It is more, agency will be more duration determined than beta determined. So I would ignore that. 360 tour from where you're sitting right now. 360 tour is dark. It is simply just, I mean, I can try. Let's see, where are we here? As you can see behind me, it's just dark. You have the city, the lights out there. Let's see if I can keep turning this around. But you can see that everything is just dark. I don't know if you can see that right now, and then we'll just turn it this way for the rest of the house. I don't know if you can get a good picture there. I can't see because I'm on this side of things. I'm outside right now. And we're back. It's just dark outside. That's all it is. Well, now the camera's over here, so I got to move this way. A couple more, and then what do we got? 7:36. I got to do some more screens tonight. Are you aware of all the people you motivate with your videos? Is that part of your goal? Not really. I'm not even sure I motivate a lot of people. It's unless somebody tells me, I don't know that that's going on. Let's see. Any thoughts on obtaining an MBA after achieving the charter? My employee covers up to 80% of the cost. Then do it. What you're buying is an appreciating asset, and if your employer is going to cover 80% of the cost of an appreciating asset, then do it. All you got to do is put in the time. Any topics during the studies one should focus on? I think once you have the charter behind you, if you're doing an MBA, do lean more into the strategy courses. Yeah. Random, but do you use nootropics? I don't even know what that is. What's nootropics? You crazy kids and your new words these days. I have a commercial banking interview today. I'm not good with the accounts part. Any suggestion? If you have access to the applied level in the financial sector, there's a 5-part video understanding banks. So there you go. Any morning routines? Usually up at 5:36. The morning is usually just to read the headlines, see what happened overnight, check in on markets, see if there's anything interesting I gotta do. Bloomberg. Although I haven't really been checking into Bloomberg lately, but I try to spend some time with Bloomberg in the morning. And that's about it. I know you've been critical against the existence of God in some of your videos. Have you changed your mind? Nope. I remember finding your spiritual journey. No, I don't know that I would say that I'm critical about the existence of God. I just don't believe in God. That doesn't mean, it means I'm an atheist. Atheist. That does not mean I'm an anti-theist. That's a different thing altogether. An anti-theist is someone who is against the notion of God altogether. It's not enough that they don't believe in God. They don't want you believing in God. Look, if it brings you comfort and meaning in your life, all the power to you. I don't feel the need to take away anybody's belief system. Go for it. That's what brings you meaning. Have at it. I won't push my atheism on you. You don't push your theism on me, right? I mean, I get along with people who believe in God. It's a philosophy like any other philosophy. It just comes with a belief of the existence of a being that I don't buy into. That's all. What are your thoughts on office politics when new to the industry? Observe for the longest time. Don't get involved. Just observe. Don't talk about anybody with anybody else ever. Don't say, well, this person over here. Don't. Just figure out who has power, and it's not on the organizational chart. So just observe for a while. Observe until you get the lay of the land. Let's see. What's your view on international development organizations? Can a charter holder find a career in international development? Sure, I'm sure you can. World Bank, IMF. I think they I gotta take care of something here. On the comment section, you get these people, they're just dirtballs, right? I mean, it's all this, there's this, who you using as an advisor? I'm using this person. She's made me 700 Bitcoin in the last 2 weeks. You know, those people. So whenever they post, I try to get rid of it right away, even though I know that most of you are wise enough not to fall for that kind of crap. It's just, it cheapens things. And, you know, I keep saying hide from user, or hide from channel, hide from channel. The hide from channel list is so long right now, but they keep coming up with new names all the time. There we go. They're gone. It's a lot of work. They're just a lot of work, those people. Okay, a couple more and then we're gonna go here. Any expat groups yet? No. How many coffees per day? 2, maybe 3. Yeah, it's too hot during the day for coffee. Like, it just, once you get past the morning, it's nice in the morning. It just gets too hot during the day to drink a coffee, right? And then at night, I'd rather have tea than coffee. Can I ask why 5:35 you get up and not 5:30? No. 5:30. 5 to 5:30. Or 5:30 to 6, not 5:36. Oh, I see. You think okay, smiley face behind that. Thought you mentioned agnostic in the past. Well, agnostic means that you know, that I don't know. I guess I could be 1% agnostic. Lights flashing. 1% agnostic, 99% atheistic. I don't know. I'd like it to be true. I'd like it to be true that there's this place you go to after, and you know, there's a whole other life for eternity that you can live and explore the universe. I mean, I'd like it to be true. It sounds great, right? But until you give me the science for it, I'm not there. You got to give me the science for it, and without the science, I'm simply just not there. Who's your favorite Canadian? My favorite Canadian ever? Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I have a favorite Canadian. I haven't really thought about it. Leonard Cohen, I guess, would be my favorite Canadian. Leonard Cohen. Probably my favorite Canadian. Yeah. Is NVIDIA still a good buy? If you're looking at it on a PEG ratio and you believe that growth is long-term, yeah. How about Tesla? No, I don't believe Tesla is a good buy. How do you maintain humility after becoming so well educated? Oh, it's easy. There is this sort of an inverted U relationship, that the less you know about something, the more you think you really know it. And the more you know about something, the more you realize you do not know. So from day to day, as I learn more and more, I'm constantly reminded of how much I don't know. You know, when you pick up a new company's 10K and you start reading it, and you get to the 5th line, you're going, okay, I don't even know what this is. I got to Google this. I don't even know what this is. Nobody tell anyone that I had to Google this. I don't know what this is. And then you Google it and you start reading, and then there's another thing going, oh, I don't know what that is. And then you start going down that rabbit hole and down another one. And you know, it ends up getting so big, you think, okay, I got to simplify this somehow. I can't do this whole thing. So yeah, there's a shitload I do not know. I think that's what keeps you humble, is the more you learn, the more you realize how little of a topic you really know. Do you not use a case on your iPad? No. And my friends were sort of freaked out over that. You don't use a case on your phone? No. I mean, what if it drops? Then it drops. You know, my iPad is scratched up, and you know, like, I look at it as a utility tool. It's not a possession I'm going to put on a shelf. No, I don't use a case. When I travel, I use a case. I have a case when I travel, but just to generally have it around, not really, no. How's your prostate? Not an intrusive question at all. It's fine. It's fine. I'm at that age where you got to worry about that kind of stuff, but I worry more about the test, the DRE test, than about it itself. Nope. Not getting that done. So I Google every now and then what are the symptoms of an enlarged prostate, and I just go down the list. I go, nope. Great, there's my annual test. I'm good. And no one had to stick their fingers in my butt, of which I'm very grateful for. So thank you, WebMD, for that one. Wayne Gretzky, is he a good dude? Never met him, but you know, I mean, you can't argue with his sort of life story and his success. I mean, he was, you know, what do they call him? The greatest. You know, he was the greatest. So, yeah. Those accounts posting broker comments. They're not even broker comments. They're part of just you know, pig butchering schemes, right? Where you reach out to this person on Telegram and they start talking to you, then they get you to invest in some crypto, and it's just all bullshit. There's no investment. They're just stealing your money. Should I buy Boeing? They're having a lot of trouble right now, right? But I don't think they're going away. I think they need new management. I think they need a new management team. I don't think they're going away. Your favorite Canadian is Justin Trudeau. Come on, you can admit it. No. I'd like to improve my maths for CFA in my investment career. What do you recommend I study? It's not math, it's arithmetic. The arithmetic in the CFA program is nothing more than grade 9 math. It's nothing more than grade 9 math. Adding, subtracting, dividing. Maybe a natural log here or there, but that's about it. There's no calculus. There's no algebra. There's no geometry. There's no abstract mathematics. It's grade 9 arithmetic at most. So I don't think that you have to upgrade much on that. Okay. What do you think about Ray Dalio's books? I haven't read any of them. I think I have one of his books. I started reading a little bit of it, and I thought, you know what? He talks so much on YouTube. What am I reading for? I can just find him on YouTube, and there's a whole bunch of stuff he has on YouTube that I can play at 1.5 times speed and get it in a very condensed, quick way without all of the paragraphs and sentences that are usually required to turn a pamphlet into a book. But I don't listen too much of what he has to say. It just never really. Well, I guess in all fairness, I don't know that I ever really gave it a chance and really sat and listened and thought, okay, let's learn more. Yeah, probably just because I haven't given him much of a chance. When are we getting a barbecue stream? Is AI a threat? Yeah. I don't know that, it's like saying, is science a threat, right? Depends on how you use it. Nothing is good or bad. It depends on its use. So is science a threat? It can be in the hands of a bad actor. It can be a threat. Is AI a threat? It can be in the hands of a bad actor. It can be a threat. But it can also be a beautiful gift. Much like science is a beautiful gift, technology has been a beautiful gift, but technology can be, criminals can use technology just as much as good people can use technology. So I wouldn't say that AI is a threat. AI is progress, which can be used for good or bad, depending on the person using it. I think your mind would love golf. I can drive. I did try playing golf in my younger days, high school. It wasn't my thing. It just wasn't my thing. I liked the driving. I liked the driving range. That was fun. But, the short game part, it just wasn't my thing. I never really got into it. I never understood the allure of it. I never really got into it. Did it for a summer, and then I felt no loss. It's like, yeah, okay. But when I started skiing, and the first season was over, it was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get back on that hill again. I cannot wait to get back out there again. I never had that with golf. Never had that with golf. When I took martial arts when I was younger, I took a form of Shaolin called Wu Ti. And I loved going to it. It's just I couldn't wait for those nights when I could go. I just had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed it when I started going to the gym. Being away from it was difficult. I wanted to go back. Never had that with golf. Never had that with golf. So, it's not for everybody, right? Any thoughts on Kathy Wood? I don't know. I find her interesting to listen to sometimes, and other times I find her so painful to listen to. It's like, oh my God, but I sort of figure that some of the things that she says is not because she believes in what she says, but she knows that the people who listen to her will believe her and will act in a way that will make her money. And in that way, that's clever. That's very clever. No, I think she was standing in the middle of the road when the car swerved and hit her. I think that's what happened. She was positioned in certain types of technology. The pandemic happened, and boom, the car swerved, and she just happened to be standing on that road, and her funds hit at that point. But they've lost how much since then, right? They put her on the map, really. But I mean, has there been follow through on that? I don't know. But I think if the pandemic never happened, I don't know that she would have the exposure that she had. Any thoughts on Geo Group? No. How hard is it adjusting to a new country and culture? Anything you miss from back home? Well, I mean, you do have to adapt to the. I shouldn't say you have to. You don't have to adapt, but it'll just be very frustrating all the time. So you do have to try to figure out what the culture is. But for the most part, if you want to live a Western life, you can live a Western life. You can still order from Amazon out of Florida. You can have it shipped to a Miami address and shipped here. You can get anything you want. You just can't get it shipped here directly from Amazon, but you can take a roundabout route and get it into the country faster than any store can ever get it for you. You can buy any brand of food you want or anything you want at PriceSmart or Walmart. That they exist. There are good places to eat. You can find sushi, hamburgers, Italian. You can find anything you want. You don't have to embed yourself in the culture. It would just seem like a crime to go to another country and try to live like a Canadian, right? I think in Canada, we do see some frustration over that when immigrants come to Canada and they insist on living like they're still in their country. You know, there's a sort of frustration of, well, where's Canada going? I mean, this area is all all Indian, this area is all Middle Eastern, this area is all Chinese. I mean, where the hell do I go, right? Because every time you're in those areas, you hear very little English. So it's like, well, you've come all the way here to almost reject Canadian culture. What was the point of that, right? So it would seem like a shame in two ways to not at least try to embed yourself in the culture. Number one, isn't that what exploring the world is about? Number two, have a little respect. I mean, have a little respect. We know that when we're in our own country and, you come across somebody who can't speak a word of English, you sort of shake your head and say, if you're going to come to the country, at least learn the language a little bit, okay? At least learn the language. Well, if you don't learn Spanish, they're going to think the same thing of you down here. You come all the way down here and you don't even learn the language. So now you're an immigrant, right? For the first time, you're the immigrant, and you now have to, find your way around. I think it's fun. I don't mind it. Let's see. With the AI question, I meant more the knowledge gained in L1, L2, L3 can be easily downloaded into an LLM and outperform humans. How to gain an edge? Well, so let's just unpack that statement first. When you say can be downloaded into an LLM and outperform humans, I don't accept that. I don't accept that statement up front, and outperform humans. Outperform humans on what dimension? On retrieving data? Sure. But hey, isn't that fantastic? If it's going to outperform me on retrieving data, I don't like retrieving data to begin with. Great, do it for me. Outperform me on experience and intuition? I don't think it'll ever outperform a human on that. And experience later in life comes with a heavy dose of intuition. It's hard to determine was it intuition or experience, but you can assess something rather quickly when something's a slight bit off. I don't need probabilities. It's just, I don't feel good about this sort of thing. I don't know that it can make a better decision than a human can in a largely random environment like finance. So I would not accept that I would not accept your premise that it can outperform humans. Just wondering why you think Tesla wouldn't be a buy. Made a DCF on Tesla, pretty conservative growth rates and estimates, and I think I see value in it. What's your biggest flaw with Tesla? It's a car company. It's a car company. It's nowhere near full self-driving. No one's nowhere near full self-driving, and no one will be near full self-driving until vehicles can talk to each other and the grid is smart. That's when it's going to happen, because you will get what you had with Cruise. You get one accident, that's it. Lawsuits and pull them off the road. And that's what you're going to get. So the robot, what is that? What is that? I mean, calling it the most advanced humanoid robot on the planet. Come on. Robo-taxis, that's a pipe dream. And if robo-taxis are anywhere, it's years in the future. That's a venture capital business. You got to discount that at those cash flows. Whatever cash flows you get for that, you got to discount those at 60, 70%. Not the 10 or 11% cost of capital. You got to discount those cash flows at 60, 70%, because that's a venture capital. Optimus, venture capital. Dojo, venture capital. All of these are venture capital. They're startups inside a larger organization. You have to treat them as venture capital. And in the end, it's a car company. It cannot escape the gravity of its own industry. It will have car company margins. It will have car company growth rates. It is a car company, and it will trade at car company multiples. And that's it. I'm not negative on Tesla vehicles. I'm not negative on Elon Musk. I'm negative on the valuation. And truth be told, I think the Cybertruck is a huge problem for them, and will be a loss in a couple of years. It will be just losing money, massively losing money, and they'll have to shut it down and retire it and take big, massive write-offs on that thing. Other than the first initial buyers who think it's cool and out of this world, it's ugly as all hell. It's not a mainstream vehicle in the least. So they would have been better off building their $25,000 EV instead of piling all of these resources into that god ugly freaking truck. That'll take them. That'll hurt them for a long time. So I guess I'm just more negative on their other venture capital projects. Let's see. Do you think intuition is related to spirituality? No. No. Let's see. Tesla has a huge leg up on robotics. No, they don't. This will take time and has hypergrowth potential like NVIDIA. We're going to have to disagree on that. I don't think they have a huge leg up on robotics at all. At all. The robots that are already deployed in Amazon warehouses are far more advanced than Optimus. Far more advanced. Boston Scientific has robots that are wickedly way more advanced than what Tesla is doing. Wickedly way more advanced. Yeah, I just don't see it. No, I don't see it. When you have a company like Apple abandoning the work that they've been doing in the vehicle space, that's not for lack of talent at all. That's for lack of results. And you know, I don't think that one company is so unique that they've solved the impossible things that nobody else can solve to that extent. No, I don't think that they have a leg up on robotics at all. I don't think they have a leg up on full self-driving either. No. You will have full self-driving again when the grid is smart. Now 5G has the potential to make that happen. 5G has the real potential to make that happen. So that if you're looking for when full self-driving is going to be a thing, look to the telecoms and look at their network and look at the evolution of their network and how fast they're rolling out millimeter wave in dense urban areas. It's the speed of millimeter wave rollout that will dictate how quickly you'll have self-driving vehicles, because you need wickedly low latency, which means you need fast communication, wickedly fast communication. And once you get that, then you have it. Now you don't have to make a whole bunch of decisions about what everything else is doing. Everything is communicating with everything else instantly. Millimeter wave technology is super fast, but it has propagation issues, which means it's only for really dense areas. Well, great. That's where self-driving is going to have the most problems, in those really dense areas. Open highway, off you go, right? But that won't happen until the network happens. So collect all the data you want. Collect all the data you want. It's not going to happen until the network allows it to happen, period. Now, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. But I'm saying it with a whole bunch of confidence that makes you think this guy must know something. You see what I did there? That's rhetoric. He must know something. He's saying it with such confidence. Let's see. Two hours plus. Oh, has it been 2 hours? Or is we're 135 minutes? Yeah, look at that. Any management teams beside ABR that you really admire? I think AT&T's new leadership is interesting. Oxy, I think, is interesting. I used to like GM, but in the last 2 years, it's just down, 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 down. It's like, she's got to go. Mary Barra's the problem. She's got to go. But how do you fire a female CEO in today's environment? how do you get that done, right? I think they're stuck with her at this point, but some of the mess ups, some of the slip ups should have spun out Cruise when the market was crazy about self-driving, should have spun it out when it had lots of potential and lots of buzz. It would have gone out at the market cap of GM on its own. But no, now it's dead. Now it's basically, for all intents and purposes, dead, parked, side of the road, gone. Billions gone. And how did they get their stock price up? They had to buy back 25% of their shares to push the stock price up because it was going 29, 28, 27. I mean, if all you have left is buying back your own stock to boost price, isn't that a failure of management? Isn't that a failure of leadership right there? After how many years you're dead money, and the only way that you get your stock price up is to push it up yourself? I mean, doesn't that say enough? I think she has to go. I think she has to go. What are your thoughts on the CAIA versus CFA? CFA is a generalist designation. It'll give you general knowledge, but not specialized knowledge. It's not meant to. It's meant to be a generalist designation. CAIA is a specialist designation. It will give you specialized knowledge. So, sure, I think it is a good complement if you want to be in the alternative investment space. Sure. I've been working my way through all levels of your free 2018 material ahead of going live with the 24-25 material. Do you think this is bad? No, but there has been significant changes since 2018. How do you judge corporate governance? Well, the lack of mismanagement, right? Governance is, who's watching the watchers here. And management is watching the company. Well, who's watching management? So you have to have governance structures in place to make sure that, no malfeasance happens. This is why, a very standard thing is accounts payable and accounts receivable should be two separate departments. That's a very standard thing to do. Those who bring in the cash should not be responsible for paying out the cash. There's a governance issue, right? So governance is just making sure that shit like FCX or FTX never happens. If they had better governance, that wouldn't have happened. And I think Sam Bankman-Fried's argument was that, look, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. He was, I think, trying to make it seem like he was negligent and not fraudulent. We didn't know what we were doing. There were no adults in the room, Well, that's governance. Who doesn't want good governance, right? Can you discuss the Canadian tax implication that caused the catalyst for your move? 53.5% tax rate, number one. Number two, if I tried to spend any of that 46 cents I had left over from the dollar, if I said, I'm going to treat myself to a nice car, I'm going to buy myself a $300,000 Ferrari, oh, there's another 20% tax you have to pay on top of the 13% tax because, well, you got it. So you take away the majority of my income, you make me a minority shareholder in my own life, and then when I go to spend the little you leave me, you hit me with a luxury tax because I still got too much. Enough is enough. And you have this coalition government, NDP and Liberal have to give the NDP what they want every year to pass a budget, every year. This year it was in the fall, they gave them dental care. Now they gave them pharmacare. If there's another coalition government, the NDP have a few more bullets. They have a wealth tax, a 2% wealth tax. They want to come back every year and grab another 2%. They got that bullet. They got the upper tax rate at 56% from 53.5%. They got that bullet. And if the Liberals want power, which Trudeau wants power above all. He's not going away. Even though his own party doesn't want him, he's not going anywhere. It's Trudeau above the party above Canada. That's what we have in Canada. We have a raging narcissist as a prime minister. He's not going anywhere in it. There's another minority government. You know he's going to give the NDP anything they asked for as long as he can keep power. And they'll go after success. They always do. They'll go after successful people because unsuccessful people can't pay taxes. They don't have the money to pay. That's why I finally left. It's like, what am I paying these taxes for? Safe roads? Not with all the stabbing, shootings, and car theft going on. I'm certainly not paying for law and order. Clean streets? Well, certainly not with all the tent cities and all the open-air heroin injection going on and all the people lying on the streets OD. I'm certainly not paying for that anymore. Healthcare? Try to get access. Try to get a doctor. And when you get a doctor, try actually getting the health care. Oh, it's free and it's wonderful. If you can actually get it, try to get it. Am I paying for that? What am I paying for? I'm paying for a country that every year is getting worse and worse and worse. The average GDP per person has been going down. Canada is getting poorer as a country as we keep moving forward. And my tax rates are going up for all this wonderful stuff? You're giving me worse outputs and asking me to pay more. Right there, I'm gone. So it wasn't a hard decision to leave. It was not a hard decision to leave. So I left. Let's see. For the average retired Canadian person who collects dividends, CPP and OSC, no. If that's where you are, is it worth it to move to Costa Rica? No. Because the cost of living here will nullify. You're not in a high enough tax bracket. The cost of living here will nullify that. The currency here in the last year has appreciated significantly, such that it costs maybe 30 to 40% more to live here than it does to live in Canada. So you have to be in a significantly high enough tax bracket such that the tax savings overcomes your cost of living, because it will cost you more, period. It will cost you more. So no, it's not worth it. I'd say that if you're making less than 100,000 a year, it's not worth it. Not for what you give up, and not for, especially if you have if you use your TFSA and your RRSP appropriately, and you max out your RRSP each year, you can keep your tax rate low enough that it is not worth it. If you're in the 53.5% marginal tax bracket and you feel that your income's only going to go higher, there you might want to think about territorial tax regimes, or at the very least Alberta. You can cut from Ontario to Alberta, you'll cut your tax rate by 5% right away. So you'll keep an extra 50,000 on every million if you're in those categories. Top tax rate in Ontario is 46, federal is 33, provincial is 13. Nope. Top tax rate in Ontario is 53.5%. I know that. I'm at that tax rate. It's 53. It's actually a little higher than 53.5, 5.6 or something like that. But it's in the 53.5%, in the 53.5% range. You might be missing municipal in there, right? You got Ontario and provincial, but you don't have municipal in there. So you got to put that in. Could you expand on why failure in life are almost a necessity? Talked about how it rounds a person out on the live the other day, and it was extremely inspiring. Okay, let's say that, let's try this. Let's say that you're playing chess and you always win. You always win. Are you good, or are you just not playing against people worthy of your skill, right? And since you always win, you're not really sure if your strategy is optimal. Only in losing can you recognize that, okay, that didn't work. Only in losing can you come up with a better strategy. But if you're always winning, there's no need to improve. You're always winning. Losses make you improve. It's when you lose that you improve. So it's important. it's important. Here's a good example of it. I can give you a good example from my life. I had a dog 12 years. Somebody ever asked me, who was the love of your life? It was my dog. I don't know that I loved anything more than that. It was my dog. And then my dog died of cancer. Now I knew it was going to happen. It didn't come as a surprise. It came earlier than I thought. But my God, it doesn't prepare you for that moment. That moment, my God, it doesn't prepare you. In owning that dog, what it taught me was patience, because with a dog, you got to be patient. And sometimes I lost my patience, but for the most part, when the dog gets older, you got to learn to be patient. And it also taught me a lot of empathy, that I'm far more empathetic as a human being now than before I owned a dog. And it wasn't the ownership of the dog, it was the loss of it. It was going through that loss that makes you understand loss in other humans a lot better, so that when you see another human suffering some loss, you are far more empathetic. But if you'd never lost anything, if you've never ever lost, how can you ever truly understand that? How could you become a better human being? Now, mind you, this hinges on my definition of what a better human being is, right? You may have a different definition of what a better human being is than I do. So it's, so it just makes you, I think it makes you a better person, a more well-rounded person. Same with entrepreneurship. You start a business, it doesn't work out, you fail. You start another business, you say, well, I'm not going to make the same mistakes. So you correct those mistakes, but then other mistakes happen and it doesn't work out. Next time you say, well, okay, I'm a lot more experienced now. I know that this was a mistake and that was a mistake. It makes you better. The losses do make you better. The bigger the loss, the harder it is to come back from, but I think the better it makes you. What is, I think, tragic is losing a lot and never learning from your losses, continually repeating the same mistakes again and again and again and again, and always finding yourself in the same situation. So if you're one of those people who say, why does this always happen to me? It's because it's you. It's because you're not learning from your mistakes. Maybe that's more of an answer than you wanted, or maybe that's not even the right answer. What do you think about moving to Singapore? Looked at Singapore. The cost of getting into Singapore on their visa was significantly higher than it was for Costa Rica. Same type of weather, way on the other side of the world, riskier. The market, I'd be up all night for the market. I didn't want to live in the city. And it just seemed that every place I looked at that was available, you look outside, there's another building right there. It didn't really turn me on that much, so no, I didn't take it. 58. No, I am not. Do I look 58? Do I even look 58? Somebody here saying I'm 58 years old. I'm 57. I look 58? Come on. I don't look a day over 57. How have things been since the Serify sale? Things have been good. My life is lighter, and it was better for the employees. The sale was better because you had to give them growth potential, right? You had to give them an organization in which they could grow in. I don't know that was really there. All I could do was throw more money at them, but there wasn't growth. But working in a larger organization, there's growth potential. So when you're a small business, and you have good growth, you do have to think about, well, what are the avenues for your staff? Because if you don't give them any growth avenues, you will lose them. You will lose them, and you'll always have a recruitment problem. So there has to be some exit. In whatever business you build, there has to be some exit for your staff. Not just for you, but there has to be some exit for the staff. And sometimes it accelerates your exit because you think, look, if I don't give them an exit, they will exit on their own. So, but it's been lighter. What have I done here? I lost the oh, there's the comment section. Oh, there it is. I got it. I got it back. I got it back. How can I get along with my mother-in-law? She's an annoyingly good person. An annoyingly good person. Then you are blessed. Then you are absolutely blessed. All right? It was heartbreaking to see the dog food bag disappear behind you. Yeah, I kept it there for a while. I still have things of his. I still have his last collar. I keep it on the pillow beside me in my bed. I still keep it there on the pillow beside me. I don't have the heart to move it anywhere else. Sometimes at night I just reach over and I just hold it. But yeah, he was the love of my life. What's your favorite book of all time that everyone should starting a business should read? Everyone starting a business should read 2 books. One to make you a better person, one to make your business a better person. First one, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because you're going to have to influence people to come along with you on whatever crazy journey you're going on. Number 2, this was written a long time ago by a venture capitalist out of Austin, Texas. I forget what year it was written in, but it's called A Good Hard Kick in the Ass. And it's written by a venture capitalist who uses a startup team that he financed as the case study throughout the book. I think it was a good book. Wasn't the departure tax and cutting residential ties with Canada a burden when leaving? Well, the departure tax is just deemed disposition. In other words, you can't leave the country with an unrealized capital gain. So if you're moving your equities out of the country and you're not selling them, whatever embedded capital gains you have, you got to pay your tax on that. So, but there wasn't an exit tax in the sense of, oh, you're taking your capital with you, are you? No, you're not. There's a 40% withholding of all your capital. There wasn't anything like that. Now, that's not saying that that can't happen, because if Canada doesn't turn itself around, same with the US, if it doesn't turn itself around with the taxes or with the debt, they're gonna have to pay it back from something somewhere. And if capital starts leaving, it's rational and reasonable to expect an exit tax saying, well, you can leave, but you got to pay your share of the national debt before you go. That is a perfectly reasonable thing that could happen. So, you know, it won't affect me now. I'm out. Can you say how much you paid your staff? If you consider what I shared of the sale, because of the sale price I did share with the staff. If you consider what I shared with the sale price, they did very well, considering the amount of years, what they got per year, all the bonuses they got, and then take the payout and divide that. They did very well. You have to share the wealth. You know what I find really, I wouldn't say upsetting, but really, I wouldn't even say insulting, just stupid, is when you drive up to a business and the owner has his own parking right at the front door and it's labeled with his name and his Lamborghini or his Ferrari is parked there. What the hell are you saying to the rest of your staff when you do that? I'm more important than all of you. All of you are working hard so I can have this. This I've made off of all of you. And I can see your cars back there. You don't have the kind of car I have. What the hell is your problem? I mean, it's okay to do well. It's not okay to rub it in your employees' faces every day. That's not okay. It's okay to do well. Just don't keep reminding everybody how much better you're doing than they are, for God's sake. And if you're doing well, you gotta share. I mean, you have to share. Not with everybody, but you'll have 2, 3, 4 key people around you. You know, that's my thinking. I would never No matter how successful I was in the business, I would never have a personal parking spot. Never. I think that that is dumb and stupid. Yeah, I kind of like to drive in and park really close. Well, then I should show up early, but to demand a special parking place for me and no one else can use it, I think that's kind of shitty. And then to park a really expensive vehicle in there, I think is double shitty. I don't know. It wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me that would do that. Oh, you reverse engineered my CFAQ bank, alluding to a 50-year-old male. Oh, okay. Turning 58 this year. Yes, I am. Dear God, 58. Dear God. I think if I were blind and I had no conception of the seasons and I had no idea how old I was, and if I had to just gauge my age by the way I behave and think sometimes, I'd think that I was like mid-20s by the way I behave sometimes. And the way, and the way I think. I just don't feel my age. I don't think my age. I certainly don't act my age, I'll tell you that. But sometimes when, you look at your birth certificate, you think, am I really? My God. Oh, well. Curious to know if someone can get as good as you are at portfolio management. Sure. I'm nowhere near as good as people who do this for a living all the time. Nowhere near as good as those people. But yeah, absolutely. You can, I wouldn't say as good as me. You can be a lot better than me. Let's see. How's Naomi doing? Are there difficulties with her being able to stay in Costa Rica long term? Is it different for her? Well, she's back in Toronto now. And she's coming back down in April. Yeah, she can only stay maximum 3 months. So she'll be here for 3 months doing some work on the applied level with me and a few other things. Yeah. But yeah, she's back in Toronto now till mid-April. Canada made a swing to libertarianism like Argentina is currently. Would you consider moving back? No. No. I'm happy with the decision I made. Oh, it's not the best outcome in terms of the situation with the previous owner of the house, with how things worked out. I mean, it wasn't great. The initial staff I had stole from me. That wasn't great. I do have very good staff now. Very good staff that I'm very happy about. And I've made decisions about who to eliminate in my life down here. And things have gotten a little bit better. But I've got a few more people that still need to get some things done for me, and then they got to go too. But yeah, I landed in a bit of a hornet's nest when I moved down here. And when you don't have a guide, when you don't know what you're doing, when you're trying to figure it out, and you don't have people on your side, yeah, you're not going to get the right information. So anyone thinking of coming down here, talk to me first. Talk to me first. I can set you up with some good people. Talk to me first. Don't let the locals have at you. All right. Okay, a couple more. You're still a Canadian citizen. Yes, I am. Do you think they come after you in the future? No. If Jagmeet has his way, no. Unless they change the tax laws to be all Canadian citizens. At that point, I would relinquish my Canadian citizenship because, well, what does it give me, right? But for tax purposes, you just don't have to be a resident. That's all. You're still a citizen. You're still a citizen of Canada. You travel under a Canadian passport. Nothing will take that away. I'm still entitled to my CPP payout when I hit 65. I probably won't take it till I'm 71 because I really don't need it. But I'm still entitled to my CPP payout. I paid into it. I'm still entitled to it. I can still keep my TFSA and my RSP. I don't have to give those up. I just have to show that I do not live in Canada and I don't use any services in Canada, so you do have to give up your health card. Big deal. I had no doctor anyways. I couldn't just walk into a hospital. I don't have access to health care in Canada. Socialized medicine. Welcome to that world where, yeah, we got health care. You can't have it though, but we got it. Let's see, 2 more and then I'm gonna go. Let's see. When does a portfolio become too large to generate sustainable alpha year over year? I don't think it ever gets too large to generate sustainable alpha. I don't think it ever gets too large. Don't you have to live in Canada for 6 months a year to collect CPP? No, you don't. No, you don't. You pay into it. You're entitled to it. Wherever in the world you are entitled to it. You paid into it. They can't just take it away from you. It's yours. They owe it to you. So, no. Nope. Okay. That's it. It has been 162 minutes, coming up on 3 hours. It's a lot longer than I wanted to just show you the sunset. But the sunset's gone now. So here we are. Okay. I think I'm going to have something to eat and a tea. And well, we got 8:32. I might be able to get 8 or 9 screens done, and that'll be my night. All right. Tomorrow is the This Week in CFA video that I'll be putting up. I don't know what my theme will be. I'll think about it during the course of the day, come up with something. And then Wednesday will be the Q&A video for the market outlook. Yeah, that's it for the week. Oh, and Wednesday is the Fed day. So Wednesday night, I'll probably put a video up covering the questions on the press conference. Somebody saying I didn't answer you. I didn't see your question then. And that's it. I'm going to hit ending this thing now. There's the X. Ciao.